I think I'm going to be the first to unmute. Then I'll do the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow. We're live. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. So my name is Banker. I'm the host of the ParentPulse series. But before I dive into it, let me just say a big thank you to everyone, including my team and all my fantastic guests on the screen, waiting to share their experiences with you. I one of the things I wanted to start with is just to share why I have Parent Pulse or why we have Parent Pulse. So I've been privileged to start a company called Niger Tutors. And in the process of doing that, I've come to learn experiences and hear from so many parents that have many questions on different aspects of their children's learning. So it wasn't just about, oh, I need tutoring or I'm just not feeling the schools here. It was a lot more than that. Things that have to do with social pressure in school, how to choose schools, which is why we're here, or a range of different things that are pertaining to children. I thought, you know what, it might be better to, you know, think of a platform that we could put out there, bring people from time to time to share their experiences, to guide parents like myself, like yourself, so that, we take a lot more informed decisions with respect to our kids' learning. And that's how we birthed Parent Paul. So today's the first edition, but it's certainly not the last. We will come to you from time to time. We will make sure that we're talking about things that you really want to talk about, things that are very useful to everyone, things that, when you attend and you listen, you feel blessed that you have some place to hear and, some other parents to rub minds with respect to some things that concern you about your kids' learning. So that's why we started Parent Paul. So today is the first edition, and today's topic is really about selecting the right schools for our kids. So again, we know that there are different, off ramps in a child's education. There's preschool, there is elementary, then they go to middle school, then they go to high school, and at some point they start to think about college and university. So there are many different steps in a child's learning journey. So this topic really cuts across different off ramps in a child's learning journey. So I've introduced myself. So again, my name is Banker. My experience, my kid has schooled in the UK, in the US, and in Canada, and in Nigeria. Oh my God, yes. And so I have had the privilege to, go around some countries. And she's also had the privilege of going to public, Catholic, private, and boarding, everything, book boy, everything. So my own experience is, so I'm here as a parent as well. This is not just I'm not just a host. I'm also a parent. So I'm just going to open it up to my other guest to just brief introduction of themselves and what they bring to the conversation today. So I'm going to start with you, Moyo.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining. I'm Moyosore Sadiq Shuneye. I have three daughters and they've studied in Nigeria and Canada. They've studied in private, public, Catholic schools. So let's see how it goes. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, thank you. So Tolani.
My name is Tolani Lawson. I work in finance and I also work within the education space. I am the director of Landmark College, a school in Lagos, Nigeria. I have two daughters, two young daughters, a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old, and they've only schooled within the US, but they've been in Catholic and in public. So I'm hoping to give a little more diverse discussion in here and to build my own experience based on the other experienced ladies in the room.
Cool, cool. Hi, Taya. Temi Taya. I'm going to call you Temi.
Hi everyone. My name is Temitaya Obasa, and I am a mother of two daughters. The eldest is 10 and the youngest is 5, turning 6. They have schooled in Nigeria and in private, but moving to Canada, we selected public Catholic school. So it's exciting for me to be part of this conversation to share my own experience and my journey so far, and also to learn from you guys. Thank you so much.
Yes, and then Temitai also has kids attending French immersion, and I know that's a big topic in some parts of the world. Like just going straight into French immersion schools is something that a lot of people have been, want to do. So maybe you can share some of that experience as well. So, and to my last guest, Bumi.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bumi Bosede. I am a mom of two, and I have children that have attended the private school in Nigeria, the public school here in Canada, and the Catholic school here in Canada. My kids are, I have a son that's currently in grade 11, and I have a daughter that's currently in grade 7. I'm
Yes.
happy to be here to also share my experience and learn from everyone as well.
Thanks, Bumi. So one of the things that make your own particular experience exciting is because you have a child in grade 11. So I'm looking up to you because I'm not there yet. So it's something that I'm particularly interested in. So thank you, everyone. And so I think we can get down to talking. So again, why do we go to school? So my own personal experience from when I did my masters in University College London, I did a masters in education. One of the things I did from was this this thing that they always ask: why do we go to school? And from all of that 1 year journey in school, I then found that schooling is really to gain knowledge, to develop your confidence, but most of all is what you do with the schooling when you leave school, which is the signal that it sends. You will not believe that people have opened doors just because of the school that you went. It's crazy, but it's the truth, right? Doors will open to you. Hey, I'm a QC girl. I'm not gonna lie. I cannot even tell you how many doors have opened to me because I said, "Oh, as soon as I say I'm a QC girl, hey, you went to QC. Oh my god!" The curtains and everything will just open, 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 open. So it's so important that we have to understand that schooling is to learn, right? We go to school to learn, but we also leave school with signals, things that will open the doors. Is a selection tool. When you bring your CV and they say, okay, where did you go? Like me, I went to one school, primary school. I can't even tell you the name. Shubuola Nursery and Primary School. When I left there, I then went to QC. Nice name, everybody loves QC. Then I went to Osu. Ha! When I went to Osu, I'm like, Osu, hey, how am I going to? I can't, hey, Osu. So I went to Unilag. After I went to Unilag, I want international exposure. Then I went to Queen Mary University of London. So my point is, at every point in time, when someone carries my CV, there's something interesting just because there's schools on there that people can relate with. So the choice of schools is not a joke. It's a journey that starts because we're almost responsible for it. But the result of it is in your child's future. So that's something that we have to always know, that the process of choosing a school is something that needs to be done with a lot of caution. So now, how do we choose this school? I'm going to open the floor and everybody can unmute themselves, right? When we were growing up, nobody asked me, what do you need? What are your skills? My mom just said, Nigerian Navy has selected you, you are going there. Nobody bothered to tell me what I needed. All I know is that they said there's admission letter. Oh yeah. So I'm really curious because now it's a different world, right? Do we really consider our kids, our children's needs, like their learning style, their disposition, how they are, what they love to do when selecting schools? Or are we typically like our parents that we say, oh yeah, this is the school, that's it? So I would like to hear from you. And me, I can be honest because me, I've done a lot of that as well, right? I've followed my parents too. This is what you want, this is where you should go. There's no, okay, how are you? What do you like to do? You're so quite skillful in this. Maybe you should go. No. So a lot of this is just asking about, do we consider our kids, right, when we're choosing school? So let me open up the floor. I'll start in the same order I went before. More, over to you.
Um, I think it's something that most parents would wish to. I mean, if I'm looking at my children's personalities, the three of them are totally different. Totally. Their interests different. The way they behave different. So if I have to look at that, the honest truth is that the three of them will not be in the same school. And realistically, practically speaking, how would that work? Um, in an ideal world, if I had more than 24 hours in a day, I would probably put them in different schools. I'll put the one that really likes science in a science focused school. I'll put the one that really likes drama in a drama focused school, and the one that doesn't really care in maybe in any regular school. But that's not feasible for me. I'm a lawyer, so I work a lot. Instead, I decided to prioritize what I feel is very important, which is like the quality of the education, the standard of the education, the extracurricular activities, the value system. So by the time I put pen to paper, I'm someone that likes to write, okay, advantages, disadvantages. I'm weighing the options. I went with the one that meets those values and those things the factors I just spoke about. Um I mean, I remember when I was much younger, maybe when I had just one child, I remember one of my friends telling me that in New York there's a particular high school that is just science focused, and that it's such an amazing school. Like the people that go there are always so refined in science. I mean, it's science focused, so the way they're going to be teaching is going to be so much of science, and the children are really intelligent. And I was like, it's what I want. That's where I want my child to go. The one whoever wants to do science.
Parents
Reality.
have overtaken that, definitely. So
Yes,
yes,
reality has overtaken.
taking that. So I see. So a lot of us, we want something to our kids. The reality of it is, you just have to do what you have to do. So for Moyo,
Yeah.
you've just looked at it as what's important, and you've made that determination
Yes.
yourself. Tell me, did you have
Yes.
that experience? Like, did you consider your kids at all, or your decision was also, let me decide for them, and that's it?
Okay, so I would draw from what Moyo said. We're very, very realistic. So because it's a different situation from where I came from, and that's in Nigeria. So when I came to Canada, I just had to prioritize, like Moyo explained. I had to factor in my children's learning style. And the good thing is that here in Canada, like most places in advanced country, you can actually have clear communication with your teachers, right? And also let them know that you are also in this journey together. Unlike where I'm coming from, where I can rely 100% on my children's teacher, but here it's like a 50-50 thing. So having said all that, I also considered their learning style, and I also try to get a confirmation if the environment is supportive enough for them to be themselves in school. They spend much time in school than in the day, right? So I also had to consider an environment that I ensure that it will foster, it will help them with positive relationship, with among their peers. Because also here it is even beyond.
Mm,
I just came to know that recently. I've been interacted with the principal and their teachers. I like to do that more often. So I've come to also know that it is even beyond the academics. We have to take into consideration their social skills, how they interact with their peers. So I needed that validation that that environment is even conducive enough for my child to show their social skills, and is welcoming for them, as Africans, to be able to interact among their peers. So I
yeah.
got that information that they could easily fit in, that cultural fit into, was easy for them transiting, and it wouldn't be an impediment for them to learn primarily in school. So these are the factors I
Yeah.
consider, right?
Yeah.
So
So yeah, you make a very great point, because sometimes we underestimate the impact of changing environment for our kids and they come into a new, like, even for adults coming into a new country, you start
Yes.
work, even for us to fit in is a
Yeah.
problem.
It's a big deal, honestly.
Much less kids that we feel that,
Kids.
oh,
Yes.
so the kids themselves, they come to school, you say, take jollof rice to school.
Exactly.
Mommy, I can't be doing
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. My daughter
You
had to
know,
tell me, Mommy, no smelling foods, no
no,
beads on my hair. My
yeah,
she doesn't want beads to look very funny. So it's a
yeah,
lot. And that's why I
it's a
had
lot.
to even talk to them more. I took it
Yeah,
so serious that I even had to pray. I had to pray
yeah,
and fast for that acceptance for her because it will go a long way. If she
way,
doesn't have
okay,
friends in school, yeah, it would. So all
yeah,
of these were things I considered in, yeah, in
okay.
selecting, yeah.
So for you, Tolani, I know maybe you can share your experience as to whether your kids learning, like, is there anything specific about your kids that you used to choose schools for them?
Yeah, well, with my first, when she was going to start school, as a first child, we explored everything. We explored Montessori, we explored Catholic, we explored public, and then we thought, okay, we really want somewhere where she can get, that religious background. So religion, when you're living in this kind of society, that it's such a worldly society that you start thinking, how do I pass on some of my background, some of my culture, some of that integrity? As Nigerians, religion is something that's important to us. So we decided on Catholic. But one thing we did not consider was we were thinking about ourselves as the parent, what was important to us. One thing we did not consider was her learning style, and her personality. She is this kind of person that she is a very intelligent child, but she cannot sit still to save her life. And if you've ever been in a Catholic school environment, everything is straight up. When it's time to sit, you sit. When it's time to stand, you stand. And
Yeah,
we completely forgot this about her, that she is a free spirit. And she struggled so much within that environment. So it was very interesting when you brought up that question of how are you thinking about your child's needs? When we were selecting school, we were thinking of our own personal
absolutely.
priorities. We were not thinking about this child's need. So she went on, I mean, with weekly meetings with teachers, weekly phone calls, monthly meetings with teachers, meeting with the principal, to the point where after 3 years in the school, we said, okay, let's try something different. Let's try public. And it was day and night for her. I did not get one phone call until the teacher conference, almost 2, 3 months later. We got to the teachers' conference and I'm waiting for the ball to drop. I'm asking, so I know she doesn't sit still. And the teacher is like, yeah, she doesn't sit still. And I'm waiting for the next sentence and everything else after that. She's like, no, I just tell her to stand. She can stand if she wants to stand.
Mm,
We have a bouncy ball in the corner. She can sit there if she wants to. So then I'm thinking, I have neglected my child's needs and learning style for 3 years because I was more concerned about what was my priority. And we
priority.
thought there is Sunday school, there is
Ah,
church, there are
thank
other
you.
avenues that we can get what we need.
Actually, you know what, Tolani, I think I'm on the same path with you. Me too. I went to Catholic school, right? Because I felt, you know what, she would get her,
Yeah,
Jesus background from there.
yeah,
Hey, Jesus Christ.
exactly.
But you know what? After she left that school, she told me that school was so toxic. Can you imagine her using toxic for a Catholic
At
school?
that age,
So that's
yes.
how you know that we all come with our myths to say, oh, go to a Christian school, and I don't know if there's any Muslim here. They are so fantastic with the way they've separated schooling from at least the ones I know. They know that they cannot get it in the school. So they are very particular. Honestly, they kill every day. In fact, some of them 3 times
It's
a
not about
week,
the school.
3 hours. So they've agreed that schooling is not for religion.
It's not for the
Focus
religion.
on the school. So you and I were on the same page as to choosing schools because of what suits us. And then along the line, we will now hear that we will now know that we've
It's not working.
made the wrong decision. But it's okay.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to hear that we are on the same path here.
We went.
So let me see. Elizabeth, can you hear?
Can you hear me?
Oh yes, we can.
Oh,
Okay, so I'll come
fantastic.
to you last. Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
Bumi, So share your experience as to, I know you have long experience till year
I
11,
wanted to
but
say that
let's make it, aha.
when you get to talk last, you kind of have everybody say everything that you want to
Okay,
say.
I'll turn it around next time.
But let me just quickly add that I totally agree with everyone. But I can be a little bit practical. So for me, when my kids were quite young when we came into Canada, so my daughter hadn't started school at all, and my son was, I think, in grade two. So for me, it wasn't a choice. Like I didn't have a choice to decide what kind of school he would attend. It was a situation of I stay in so address. I live in a particular area, and I have option of either a public school or a Catholic school. Now Tolani said like mostly what I wanted to say. And when I came in, it was a situation of everybody had that ideology of, oh my God, they cannot go to public school because of religion. We want them to know about Jesus. We want them to, you know, be grounded in the faith. I'm a little bit a Nigerian mom. I'm not apologetic about that, so I have standards. And I know that those standards I have, God has helped me to put in place with my kids. So I wasn't really scared about them having to go to a Catholic school to learn about Jesus or to learn about the faith. So I kind of put that aside and I took my kids to the public school and they did excellently well. I remember, I think I told Banker the story. I'm not sure if I told Banker, but my son's first week or 2 weeks in school, the teacher actually had to wait for me to come pick my son up because they wanted to meet his parents. And when I came in and they were like, oh, I use so persons, we just wanted to see who that parent that brought up this child was because this child is exceptional. And so for me personally, I think also as we think of every other thing, we should also get to that point where we know that we cannot put that responsibility on the school. The school should
Absolutely.
not be teaching
Yeah.
your children to be godly.
Morals. Yeah.
School should not
Everything.
be teaching your children morals.
Yep.
It should be something that we are as parents comfortable doing. It is part of the curriculum as
Yeah.
parents. If you want
Yeah.
to see that in your children, then you should be able to create time with prayers and everything to make sure that that is done. So for me personally, like I said, I didn't have that option. Even though as time progresses, I had to now begin to look at other options for my kids. My son eventually went to kind of a school. I'm not sure if I have enough time to talk about it, but it was a special school because they recognized some skills in him. And unfortunately, those opportunities were not out there to a lot of African parents and immigrants. But I got to learn about it from a friend that there were special schools and
Special schools.
special education system that was funded by the government and that these kids could go to for free, but they needed to write an entrance exam. And I got all those information, and I asked him. We had like 3, 4 options, and he did those exams. He was picked in 2 of them. Then he decided which one he wanted to go to. Now,
Yeah.
probably maybe if I was in Nigeria, I would have been part of that decision making and be like, I want you to be a doctor, so you have to go to a particular. But because I was already in Canada and I had realized that some decisions also have to be made alongside with those children, having
Children.
to have in mind what their interests and passions were. So allowed him to decide and
Decide.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a fantastic feedback. The one thing I want to say is some countries have limited options. UK, for example, and Elizabeth can also speak to us about that. They have a variety of options. There's academy, comprehensive, grammar school, public, Catholic, private, independent. Jesus, like it is a host, and it's not just 5 schools, 10 schools, is hundreds of them. Fast forward to a country like Canada, the options are quite limited, right? Whereas in the UK, you have almost 2,000 private schools, right? In Canada, maybe 90. So, which means if you are less than 100 private schools, so which means if you are not living in that area, I mean, I know people buy houses to move. People are that they do in the UK a lot. They plan for their children's education. They buy house, they research the areas where they have good schools, and you know that you want your child to go to a good school. So you will buy a house in that area so that your child can go to that school in that catchment area, right? But they have a host of opportunities. So you can even sit down and say, okay, where are we even going? Even if you fail the exam, because they have selective exams, which we really don't have in Canada. Like there's no exam where you do the exam and then they select the top 10 to go to the top best schools. All of that one does not happen. In Canada, you have either private Christian or Catholic, the options are limited. But for those of us that have the opportunity, right, in countries where there's so many opportunities, I can tell you, my daughter changed from Catholic school to a private school, right? And there was a significant difference. My daughter, that when she was in public school, she never played netball, she never played it. When she entered private school, all those extracurricular and sports, it was part of the curriculum. Every day she would come back home. Hey, I did netball. In her former school, she was so lazy. They developed her sporting skills, and I was wondering, why were they not doing all of this? So for people that can afford to go to private school, the good private schools where they take every aspect of a child's learning, just as like your learning, your maths is just as important as sports. It's just as important as your drama. It is amazing. And when she went to that private school, when she's going to school and you see her bag, you will know she's going to school. You will know. In our previous world, are you people playing? Are you not in yet? You will know. In fact, you'll be wondering, don't you have homework? Nothing. So sometimes it's good to research to say what opportunities are there. And just know that even all the private schools, some people send their kids to private schools, they only pay half. Some people pay 10%. You'll be surprised if you have a smart kid. Don't sit down and not research. Take them for exam. You don't know what you can qualify for. That's my point is that for those of us that have the opportunities to explore a variety of options, don't worry about the money. Just go for it. When you get to the point of admission letter, then you will know whether I can afford it or not. And if you cannot afford it at that point, you tried your best. When my daughter was going to change to private, and this is the last thing I'm going to say before I pass it off to Elizabeth. When she was going to go to private school, I knew she was going to go to the UK like a year before. She was already being tutored because I know that the standard of education in the UK is slightly higher than in Canada. So she was being tutored in the UK curriculum because I know that once I enter UK, the options brekete. So as soon as she entered, she started writing exams. Of course, because that's not system that she's used to, and everything is. I was like, you have to write this exam. I can't. I said, you have to write it. You have been tutored for 1 year, and she wrote the exam. I think she wrote 3 exams. The three of them, she got offer letter. So my point is, let's even put them on that path. Let them even try. If they gave us offer letter and we can't afford it, it's a different thing. But do you know that every exam that she passed, see confidence. Oh yeah, I just passed that exam. Someone that did not have when she wrote and passed, confidence. So my point is, let's throw them out there and expose them to as much as they can take. Let's stretch them. Let's stretch them. You don't know what or where they would need that experience. So, Elizabeth, I know you have that. You people in the UK, everything is competition, exam competition, every week test, exam. As in, how did you even cope? Hey, my children, grammar school exam. Hey, lesson one, lesson two, lesson three. They, as in parents in the UK, are always running helter skelter, tutoring. I know it's a lot
Yes.
because the UK system is very competitive. How have you coped?
Okay, thank you for that question. Like you rightly pointed out.
Are you connecting on two devices? Oops. You see, UK people have come for us. They don't want you to talk. It's a lie.
Does that work?
Okay, yes, it does.
Okay, great. So I'm a mother of a 16, 17-year-old. I always forget that I've got a 17-year-old boy and a mother of 3 kids, 17-year-old and 16 and 8-year-old son. So my journey with my first was actually a tough one because he didn't speak on time. So it was a case of okay, I needed to make up my mind what kind of school I wanted for him. Now I know most of you would say, okay, considering the needs of the child is not as important as getting the school. So is it the needs that come first or the school that comes first? For my son, it was a case of okay, the needs of him was very much important for me as a mother to put him in the right school. He went to a Catholic school. All my kids went to Catholic schools. I'm busy because I was brought up in a Catholic way. And obviously, the mindset in the UK, like rightly pointed out, was that it's a Catholic school, which is because they have high quality of education in terms of their discipline, moral, culture. You know, you want the child to have that the moral ground. And for us, going to church was not a problem. So if you didn't even go to Catholic school, you could learn about God in church. But the idea that okay, you're going to mix other kids of like-minded faith were very important
Mm,
to us as well,
mm,
because a child that has good moral standing at a very young age grows to be a very
yeah,
good child.
yeah.
They grow up to be very, 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 very good and blessed. So taking Layomi into a Catholic school was very important for us, and it was a small size school because the school was just new. So we had help in school, so it was a case of okay, this was the right school for him. Now for my other kids, my daughter, she's quite different. Like I didn't really have to spend so much time researching schools. For now, it was okay. Let's go at the league table. Okay, is this Catholic school within the first 10? Is it within the first 20 schools? So its league table was something that I over the years I was always researching. Way back 10 years ago, I look at the progression. Okay, what was the position in that year? 2 years before, as it dropped. Sometimes I actually call. Sometimes I
So when
actually
you say
call
league school,
parents who
you're
had.
talking about that kind of leagues, that chart that we follow when you're a footballer. That's who's on top of the chart. That
Yeah,
kind of
so
league
they call
school.
league table, yeah, schools
Okay.
league tables. Yeah, it's called UK school league table. So primary school, secondary school, and thereabouts. So different across different levels. So it's sometimes I find myself even calling parents as well before I even put my child in the particular school to see what um their observation is, but sometimes you don't have time to go to open. That's why open days is very, very, very good. Even for primary school, you don't take for granted that okay, they're in primary school, let me just chuck my child in a school. No, you need to go to the school, look for days where they have open days, look around. Sometimes you go to get to your school, even the warmth of that school, you can feel it. You feel like, oh God, you feel that warmth, and you feel like okay, my
Welcoming.
child
Yeah.
will flourish here. So it's
Yeah.
very important to attend open days as well. Talk to parents, look at the school reviews on the website. What are parents saying? What are even the children? What are they saying about the school? That's also
Mm.
very helpful. For my daughter, she breezes. So I didn't really pay so much attention, not so much attention as my first, because being the first, you always want the perfect list for the first child, perfect this, perfect school, perfect friend, perfect everything. But for my second child,
By that time,
it
you're
was
already
too much
tired.
work for me, and she kind of like she went to her brother's school as well, which was also a Catholic school. Like I said, all my kids went to Catholic school. So I mean with primary school, so it's part for me. So is that Catholic school? Public school was not an it was not it was a no for me, basically because of the fact that I not they're good public schools. Don't get me wrong, there are good public schools, but you have to be sure that your location also determines where you get the public. So we can go on schools like table and look at public schools, good public schools. In UK, you have a school guide, good school guides. They give you the list of good schools, public schools within the area. So sometimes, the host did say, people kind of move houses to kind of secure schools because apparently public schools, for public even for Catholic schools, you have to be within the catchment. So for most private, public and state schools, you have to be within the catchment. So people kind of move houses to get into good schools.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
applies to grammar school as well. So I mean, for that, like I said, very competitive. I mean, you have to be on top of things. You have to ensure that your child is well grounded to get to top grammar schools, and you have to be very mindful that okay, this child of mine, would that child flourish in that school? So you need to understand the needs of that child. It's very important.
But
You just
this
don't want to put
this
the child in
trend,
just a version where he or she will get lost. Thank
yeah,
you.
but this trend of okay, I know the UK system is built on that competition, but Canada is more no. Let's not push them. Sometimes I wonder which one even works. I would say that Canada needs a bit more push, right? Maybe UK just needs to slow down a bit. It's too much. Kilo day every time. Test, exam. Like my daughter, since she started, every 3 weeks, tests. This one, she said, I have a test, I have to study. I have a test. I have a test. Even when I was going for her parents, her first, because she's just in year 7, for her first parents teachers meeting, I was like, hey, hey, give me cotton mass because they will come and tell me she has 32%, 42, because everything is percent. So UK zone, I don't know. You people are trying, but you know what? You people, I give you. I mean, the Lord is your strength. So thank you very much for that
Frankie,
feedback. Yeah.
can I quickly say something?
Yes, you can.
So you had talked about it, and Elizabeth too has mentioned UK system being that fast paced. They're very similar to what we have in Nigeria,
Yeah.
but I also think that the system in Canada is built in a way where they don't push you, but they kind of, I think the system is kind of structured in a way where they give everybody kind of a safe haven.
Hmm.
Now, what do I mean by that? If you are that child that wants to be pushed, you have an opportunity to be pushed. If you are the child that wants to relax a little and don't want too much stress and just want that kind of smooth sail kind of
Hmm.
system, you have that opportunity as well. Now,
Yeah.
why am I saying this? I said earlier that my son got into a program. Now, this program is not a private school program. This program was run in public schools. So the government would choose specific public schools in different regions
Hmm.
to run these programs. These programs were intensive. These programs were the kind of the normal programs that we would see in Nigeria and in the UK. But I just felt that probably, I don't know why, that maybe everybody would not have the ability to be able to
Participate.
participate or stand the
Hmm.
pressure and all that. I remember the first year my son started, no, the first week. For the first week, he was sleeping at about 2 a.m.,
Hmm.
1 a.m. in the morning because he would come up with assignment of, I think the first math assignment he got was 100 questions. And it was still there at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. The father had to sit down with him and like, do I think I want to do this? Like at that point, I was contemplating, do I want to pull him out of the program because I don't think we had, But 3 weeks into the program, he was having the same 100 questions, but he was able to deal with it in 2 3 hours. Now, what am I saying? Because it was coming from a normal public school where, of course, they wouldn't give them 100 questions as homework. So for him, it was strange. His
Yeah.
system was used to it. But when he moved to this program, he got that resilience. It was a must that you must choose a sport and a musical instrument that you have to play.
You have
It's
to
called,
learn. Yeah.
my son did IB at the time, he did IBS at the time, there was AP. So there were these different programs were all there. So for us, I think it's just for us to realize that we have options and now decide if we want to go for those options. But
Yeah.
the thing is,
Yeah.
a lot of work, not only on the child, but also on us as parents.
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
to take a lot of, I just wanted
Yeah.
to
So
put that out.
yes, I 100% agree. Like, it's not everyone that will be able to get into those schools. And but our kids can really do with a child can stretch if we stretch them. If they're in a school where I don't push me, okay, no problem, I won't push you. That's the limit that they will get to. So, but if you want more for our kids, we have to explore what else, right? And that's why sometimes I speak to some of my friends that have the opportunity to send their kids to private school that can pay for this thing you're talking about, Bumi, because it's not a public schools are not like that. But you can pay for it in a private school. And when you pay for it, what you're actually paying for is a school that will bring all of that thing, the extracurricular, the everything, into a full-time school, right? But again, I'm a Nigerian woman, and there are many people like me. Why must I pay for school when I can get for free? That's a lot of people saying that. Why do I need to pay for school thousands of dollars, thousands of pounds. A lot of people say that. But you know what? You might think it's free. It's not free. It's
It's
a
not free.
cost. There's nothing that is free. So if you think that I'm not paying because my child is going to public school, you are paying for it because the school is not developing the best of your children, right? Oh no, I can do it outside. I can take that child to extracurricular. Then it is not the same. It is not the same. What you do add on at 5 p.m. to 3 p.m., 5 p.m. to 5:30 is not the same thing as what is built into a school curriculum, right? And so for people that have money in their pockets, right, you better start thinking, am I sure that I'm not limiting my child, right? I'm not talking to people that can't afford it because all of us we are on different journeys, right? But you have to not be selfish. If you can, if rather than, just think rather than buy this X5, maybe I can put some money. Some people are even saying I'm saving for their university. It's not true. What you don't get at primary level,
Yeah.
forget it. That child might even get to one level and say, I'm not even doing again.
Yeah.
So if you must invest, start investing from primary. And my daughter only did 1 year in before she went to the school that she's in. When she was in year 6, on the graduation day, when they were reading out all the kids' names, and Sharon, she's going to Westbrook. She got scholarship in sports. This person, hey, scholarship in drama, scholarship. Oh, no, in fact, 70% of the kids in that private school won scholarships everywhere in England. Like, so they train them, they develop them. So you will pay to school, you will pay you will pay for private primary education, right? Because you know that the schools will take care of those kids and they can enter top-notch secondary schools and you might not need to pay a lot. So all I'm just saying is that let's just keep an open mind, right? And not say, oh, please, I can't pay. Oh, is I have to do free. If you're someone that feels that faith schools work for you, fantastic. If you're someone that you feel that public school is excellent for you, honestly, check mark. But my own is just make sure that you're looking at all the options and you are deciding. Not that you are deciding because that's what everybody is doing. You can't be doing that. Now, we are almost approaching the last 15 minutes over because I don't want this to pass 1 hour. So far, how are we doing? I don't even know whether they are saying, hey, kudos, you are doing great. I can't say anything, but let me just be psyching myself. But it's okay. Now, where I want to go next is something that we call change. Now, remember that, in a school system, 16, 18 years, there are different off ramps that we have. Preschool, elementary, high school, elementary, middle school, high school, then college and university. So that college and university is a different topic. Like, different topic. In fact, it's a big topic. You know that thing where when you're in Nigeria and you see a plumber, you say, plumber, ew. Here, you'll be begging, please, sir, when can you come and fix my water, sir? You'll be using sir because they are so scarce. So some of us, we have that myth that, my child can't go to a trade school, university. Okay. That's because of the environment. Sometimes maybe it's time for us to start thinking differently. Because here in the Western world, they are the ones with but we don't like my daughter my son is a plumber. Oh my God, plumber? We cannot even say it. But you know what? When the plumber is coming to fix my water, that plumber is coming with his son. Eh? So the plumber will come with his son. They are training him. When I finish, I'll say thank you. I will hand cash, cash, cash. Our own children, they're on the streets looking for jobs. Anyway, that's a separate topic. What I want to talk about is change. Every time we get on this journey with our kids, we know we've made some mistakes. Me, have I told you, I have plenty experience. Country to country, school to school. How do we react when we know that we've made a mistake? You know that you've chosen wrong. How quickly do we react? Do we wait until the child gets off that? So say she's in grade 2 Do we wait until she gets to grade 6, say she will soon change and go to, or do we react immediately?
Okay, I can jump on that if you don't mind.
Yes.
Um, when it comes to reaction, I think I'm quick to react. So, and well, it's a subjective thing. So, in my mind, I'm quick to react. Um, when we moved to the city we moved to, it's a small city, so it didn't have the resources that London, Ontario had. It's a lot smaller. That you don't have up so many options when it comes to, even though there's the district thing, but I mean that you didn't just have much choices. It's like, okay, we have just two Catholic schools in this place. We have just this.
Mhm.
So it was either that or private. When I Googled, like tried to do my research on the Catholic school, I didn't really, really like what I saw. It was not up to par. It wasn't the kind of quality the standard I want. Like maybe I prefer to see 4.5 stars in a five over 5 stars, right? And I was
Mhm.
seeing 3.5 stars over five. I'm like, this 3.5. But I also said, you know what? Let's try. And it may be, it may be because the community is small. When you don't have so many people giving reviews, fewer people's review would matter a lot. So
No, yeah.
that may have affected, that scoring, and said, okay, let's try this school. So we took them to the Catholic school there. Unfortunately, it was COVID, and sometimes I still think about it and wonder that did I really did I really judge this school in a fair balance, because it was COVID period. So obviously, the way teaching was during COVID is totally different
Different.
to how
Yeah.
teaching is when they would go into school. But unfortunately, that was just the only time period I was willing to give. That one term or something, like, okay, let me see how they behave, and now let's see how the teachers are, how responsive they are, how caring they are, how they're able to accommodate, because each of my children, like I said, have different personalities, and my second one needs someone that's very patient. And I found that very lacking. And it's very important for me to see that teachers have patience as a virtue. If you're going to be dealing with children, they have multiple personalities, different attitudes. It's important to, you know, look at things like that. So when I saw that they weren't meeting my standard, even in regard to the teaching and the quality, I moved my kids to a Christian private school immediately, and they love it there. The teachers very patient. So when it comes to this, I don't want to dwell too much on it because we have other people that are going to speak. I'm prompt with moving my children when I feel this is not going to work for them. In as much as, oh, we're thinking about the religious or the faith, oh, let's move it. If it isn't working, it isn't working. So that's just what.
Ah, it is well.
It is right.
Change. Would like to wrap this up in the next 3 minutes. Um, in general, I know lots of people might have questions. So if you're posting your questions, we'll try and answer them in the live chat. If there's anything that we can't answer on the live chat, we will send it to you by email. In terms of changes, um, if you know that you've made a wrong choice, we don't have to wait until the end of that session, because there's some errors
Yes.
that can change the way a child is. It can fundamentally change them, that even taking them to a better school will not might be difficult. You might not be able to reverse, especially when it's something that has to do with a social issue, bullying, racism, things that affect a child. We have to realize that anything that is not just learning that stops. It's not that, oh, a child cannot learn. Most children can learn. It's just there are some additional things that children go through that places barrier on them,
Yes.
that stops them
Yes.
from learning. So when we know, right, that there is anything can potentially stop that child from learning, and it's something that is material, it's time to make a change. I
Yes.
know some kids adapt to, some kids find change difficult, but it's better to change if you know that it can materially affect the child than to wait until the damage is done. So all I'm just saying is, I know there are different cycles, there are different, oh, I can wait till secondary, I can wait till. But if you know that the change is something that would affect the child, or the issue is something that affect the child, I mean, make a change, right? You just think, what does this child need at this moment? How can I make it better for this child? Let me make a change. That same child that said, I don't want to leave. By the time the child starts in the new place,
Yes. Yes.
flourishing. Oh, I love. My daughter,
Exactly.
the same daughter that told me she went to a toxic school. That school was so toxic. I'm like, Maybe you said you didn't want to go.
You didn't want to leave.
You didn't want to leave. Oh, toxic. So
Yeah.
that's just my last word on change. I don't know if anybody has any last word, but it's been so, so, so great just chatting with you guys. Bumi, Temitayo, if you have a last word, now is the time. I'm going to do a countdown, 30 seconds countdown.
So let
And
me just quickly say this, Biker, before you leave. I am very passionate about children, and you talked about bullying. So some parents, I've seen situations where parents would say that I am not able to afford private school, or I live in a particular area, so I can't move my child. I've been to the school is not doing anything. Please, you can always write to the school board. There are exceptions where the school board would grant you to allow your child to go to a school outside the catchment of where you live. So if you're
leave.
having issues like bullying, please write to your school board and ask for that exception. It is very
Okay.
important.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Always be your child's advocate. That's my last word.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. It was nice having you guys.
Thank
Take
Thank you
you.
for
care.
having us.
Thank you for having us.